Okay, everybody, welcome to Self-Storage Income. Today we're talking about something that is very important. When you're dealing with revenue management, there's a lot of aspects you need to look at. You really need to understand how to control those revenue drivers within your storage facility. This is especially important when looking to buy the storage facility. You need to understand where that revenue is going. Or is it going to go up or is it going to go down after you buy it? And a lot of times people have no real gauge on how to measure this outside market rates. What is a rate? Well, this is the rate times this many, if it's $100, 10 by 10, I have X 10 by 10s and this is my revenue. It's a horrible way, first of all, of gauging the value of a facility. That's also a terrible way to plan on monetizing that facility, securing and growing those revenues. And that is simply how you increase value. You secure and grow the revenues of that storage facility. So let's talk real quick about one principle that we need to go over in revenue management. And it's an important one, and it's a misunderstood one. And a lot of people don't analyze properties like this. Lifetime value. Okay, so we're looking at what the lifetime value of a tenant is. Why is this important? First of all, this is important to understand how you can improve the revenues and cash flow of the facility that you're buying or you currently own. Now, lifetime value of a tenant isn't just about existing. If I know that my lifetime value of a tenant is $2,000 and the current facility is $1,200, that's their current average lifetime value of those tenants. Well, the tenants that I lose, I'm replacing with higher lifetime value. That should be your goal, right? So how do you get the lifetime value? How do you figure out what a tenant's worth? And how do you figure out how to attract the right tenants? That's another video. But let's go into the lifetime value. So right here we have, first of all, the total revenue. Okay, we're going to try to keep this very simple to start out with. The total revenue. What is this? And you're talking about the rate for the unit. You're also talking about everything from fees. You're talking about insurance, sales that you may do on average, right? So ancillary products. When you may have a moving truck, whatever it may be. All of those things need to come together to figure out this total revenue of that person, of this tenant. Now, time. What is the average time frame that they stay? Okay, so then you got to extrapolate that over whatever that is. Is it 6 months or 2 years, right? What is that average time? Then you minus the expenses. Now, this is an important one because you got to aggregate your expenses per unit, and then you take the aggregated expenses per unit, right? And then you look at the time and the total revenue of that unit, okay? And then that gives you the long-term value. Now, you got to understand this means that some units are more valuable than others, right? And you need to walk through your product selection, your unit sizes, all these things, right, to come up with this long-term value. You should audit all your facilities. You should know what the average length is. Now, this is one that I have a lot of qualms with because your tenant's lifespan in your facility, out of all your tenants, got to make it look pretty, right? So you have some that stay 1 month and you have some that stay 10 years. So I have some people that say the average time that my tenant stays is 3 years. Why? Because they have 2 of their tenants stay 10 plus years. Now, this skews this massively, right? Because now you're assuming that all this, this rate times this equals $5,000 a tenant. And they're not ever making that on any tenant. So it's a horrible way to look at it. What you have to do is this. You have to take the medium, right? You got to get rid of these ends on the bell curve, and you got to look at the population that matters right in here. So what's the average? Take the short-term ones out, take the long-term ones out, merge them together, get this average right here. Most people, it's going to be, whatever, just over a year. Maybe it's just under a year, depends on the markets. But you can really skew this one way or another, so make sure you get this right, okay? So time, make sure you get your medium time and your total revenue. Don't forget all ancillary things that come with it. Now, when you're looking at your expenses, okay? When you're analyzing these expenses, a lot of owners will do things like not include their work. We see this a lot out of facilities. You'll have somebody that says, okay, well, I work at the facility, here's my total expenses, but my earnings are the profit. No. You have to include your salary in that facility because someone is doing work. That's taken out before profits, right? Now, if you have a manager on site, that's easy because you're paying them, right? It's not you doing it. So you can include this in the expenses. Now, there's a couple ways you can do it. Debt, without debt, right? For me, I include debt because that's an actual expense that I'm paying and I know the rates at which I'm paying and I'm doing this for myself, okay? But at facilities that you may be buying, debt can be a totally different subject because that may change based upon a lot of things. So if you're trying to compare apples to apples, don't include debt into those expenses, okay? You're looking at the actual operating expenses of that facility and include everything, exclude debt, and then compare it to what you're doing. Now, the goal here is increasing your long-term value, okay? Now, increasing the long-term value of your tenant, you do in two ways, okay? You either increase the revenue, so I make a 4% increase in rates, okay? I start selling insurance, right? Maybe I sell boxes, I include lines of revenue start coming in. That's ticking this up, okay? That's going up. Now the other thing, you might want to improve the facility. You might want to improve your customer service, okay? All these things start to lead into maybe having a long-term time. Now, there's another route about this that we'll get into. I'm not going to talk about it right now because it's a whole nother subject. The best way to increase both of these things is don't have the wrong tenant in there in the first place. Only sell to the right tenant. Check out our video on marketing and getting in the right tenants and how you figure that out. So long-term, lifetime value of your tenants, figure out what that is, okay? So figure out what it currently is at your facility, figure out how to increase it, and then once you increase it, figure out who those tenants are at that value that you want. Then, watch our other videos and find out how to get those tenants into your facility.